So let me go ahead and say it. Something is rubbing me really wrong about the way this card is being put together. For example, if you watch the press conference, both of the press conferences for Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach, you'll notice that, like, did you notice where's Leonard Ellaby? Where is the training staff? Both press conferences, no one's there. Like, he's by himself. Hell, where are the Watsons? You know, it just seemed barren. Now, it's no secret that PBC's been having some issues with finances. That's no secret anymore. You can't deny it. It's no secret. They don't have the money like they used to. And when you have a card like this going on just a week before, by the way, just a week before, you're going to have this card. Archibert the BF versus Dimitri Bivol 2, undisputed at 175. Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker for the IBF championship at heavyweight. Shakur Stevenson for the WBC championship, taking on Floyd Schofield. Carlos Adames, 160-pound WBC champion, taking on Hamza Shiraz. Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Israel Madrimov. Joshua Buati versus Colin Smith. J-Lee Big Bang CCP Zhang taking on Edric Caballel. That is a $26 card here in the States. It's going to be $26 on its own. Meanwhile, Tank Davis's card is going to be, now mind you, this is not the card actually, but let me tell you what the card's supposed to feature. It's supposed to be Tank Davis, Lamont Roach. Here are the rumors. It's going to be Rayo Valenzuela versus Gary Antoine Russell. Alberto Puello versus Sandor Martin. And then there's rumors of Jamal Charlo taking on Thomas Cornflake Lamana. The full card hasn't been announced yet. This card is likely going to be $74.99. I doubt it. $79.99, $84.99. Don't be surprised if they go $89.99. But the landscape in boxing is changing. And by the way, Tank Davis was talking about retiring. You know, and the reasons he's talking about retiring, I can kind of understand a little bit. You know, this is a guy who's been fighting since he was a little boy. You know, in wars in the gym since he was a little boy in Baltimore, wars. But at the same time, would you consider this a Hall of Fame resume? Now, he hasn't fully said it himself, but I won't be surprised if he says it soon. He don't fight for the fans. He fights for himself. 30-0 with 28 KOs. Now, let's just go through the resume. I'm not saying these haven't been good fights. I'm just saying the quality of competition. Mario Barrios moved up to 140. Okay, nice solid win. Isaac Cruz, in hindsight, that was a good fight. We didn't think, because when he stepped in for Rolly, we was like, what, huh? Rolly Romero, that was just a money fight. Rolly Romero just talked him his way into that fight. Hector Garcia, Ryan Garcia, huge money fight. We got a fight like that, but then, well, Ryan Garcia never been the same since. Tank Davis took his soul. Right, Ryan Garcia is a bigot. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that shit he said. Frank Martin, I like that fight. And then Lamont Roach moving up from 130. If this is not screaming in-house, we don't have nobody to give you, but we can give you Lamont Roach, I don't know what is. No disrespect to Lamont Roach, 25-1-1, 10 KOs. McCrory, by the way, his last fight was on ProBox TV. Here, I'll pull it up for you. ProBox TV. Now, they're trying to sell us on pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen. ProBox TV. Let me see. A free YouTube fight that maxed out at 171,000 views. It's right here. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. But they want to sell this fight on pay-per-view. You see what I'm saying? He went life and death with Hector Luis Garcia. If I'm correct, did people think he lost this fight? I don't remember. Angel Rodriguez, Rene Alvarado, like he lost to Jamel Herring. It ain't nothing really there. There's no disrespect to him. Listen, happy he's getting a payday. Good for him. But for a Tank Davis fight where they're going to charge us an arm and a leg, nah, cuz that ain't it. Especially when Tank is supposed to be the A side. He's supposed to be the one sending out the contracts to the Teofimo Lopez's. To the Devin Haney's for whatever, okay, whatever, wait, whatever. I'm just saying he can fight who he wants. People are not going to turn down Tank Davis. Well, Rayo didn't want to move back down to 135. I can understand that. But this just ain't it. A part of me feels that he may not be too happy with PBC. A part of me feels that way. I don't know why. Especially when the fact that he showed up to these press conferences hours late. You know, to the New York press conference, he showed up something like 4 hours late. I would have been pissed. Now, we do know he wanted to fight Lomachenko, but Lomachenko, well, Devin Haney took his soul. Lomachenko, IBF champion. We don't know if he's coming back, when he's coming back, but Loma damn near 40, and all of a sudden, and it's well documented that his team was keeping Loma away from him. I mean, him away from Loma. Loma's 36 years old. I don't really consider that old in boxing, but yes, you're getting up there, especially in those lower weight divisions. Mind you, I want to pull something up for you here. Let me see here. Loma Tank. From me, at one point in time, he wanted Loma. Here, listen to this interview. This is from I forgot when it was, but listen in. I can't play it, but you can listen to it.
2019 was a big year for you. You and Terrence Crawford 1 and 1A in terms of pound for pound. What are your plans for 2020? What do you want to do?
I want to unificate title, and after that, I want to organize a fight with Gervonta Davis.
But remember, this was years ago. But still, it's like all of a sudden now you want to fight him. Remember, Leonard Ellerbe and Mayweather used to openly say, like, nah, he's not ready for that. Nah, he's not ready. But if he was to retire this year, I mean in 2025, then look, Shakur Stevenson, he clearly wants to fight. Who else? Let's say if he had 2 fights. Let's say if you gave 2 fights to Tank to retire on in 2025. Realistic fights that can be made. Who would it be? I would be cool with Lomachenko. William Zepeda, maybe, even though, you know, Tevin Farmer beat him. I don't think he should go the Tevin Farmer route. You think he'd go that Tevin Farmer route? You think that, you know, I can see PBC doing that. I can see PBC doing the Tevin Farmer fight now because he's got a little bit of momentum, because a lot of people thought he beat William Zepeda. I don't. I think William Zepeda just edged it. But I can see them doing that next. If they're doing Lamont Roach, I can see them doing that. You know, maybe, you know, he captures a full title at 140 pounds. Maybe Alberto Puello, Sandor Martin winner, or maybe move up and fight Rayo. Because if this was Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy Floyd, he would have moved up to 140 and took Rayo belt, would he have not? That should have been the fight that should have been happening. My personal opinion. But we're just going to have to see. I'm not feeling this pay-per-view. And then when you look at the Benavidez card, David Benavidez, listen, good fighter, but he's not a pay-per-view guy. He's just not. He's just not in this landscape. This is a great fight, though. Don't be surprised if David Benavidez let me lose. The Brandon Figueroa-Stephen Fulton fight seems a little bit too late. Great fight, good fight. Not great, but seems a little bit too late. And, well, the other 2 fights, Jesus Ramos versus Jason Rosario, really? No, ill. Isaac Cruz versus Angel Ferrero, no, ill. So you have 2 pay-per-views a month apart. This is how PBC's opening up the year. Now, the main event, David Benavidez, great compared to Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach, my personal opinion. So once again, the Tank Davis card is supposed to feature Tank Davis, Lamont Roach, Rayo versus Gary Antoine Russell, Alberto Puello versus Sandor Martin, and heavily rumored to be Jamal Charlo versus Thomas Lamana. Like, what are we doing here? Meanwhile, you have the Saudis putting this on for $25. I think I know what the Saudis are doing. They're trying to do divide and conquer and trying to like close in, if that makes sense. Try to like box other fighters in, you know, with the money, you know. And do I agree with all the things that the Saudis are doing? Not really, but at the same time, as long as you give me good fights, what the fuck do I care where it's at? Boxing been on some weird bullshit for way too long. So what do I really care where the fights are at, as long as we're getting the great fights and consistently? They're having these guys fighting 3 times a year. And they're not bullshitting around with rematches. It's like, if you don't want the fight, fine, we move on. We're going to get somebody else in your spot. Y'all better get that money while you can. And remember, Tank Davis is PBC. He's a homegrown PBC fighter, the last top homegrown PBC star that hasn't been vanquished. Jamal Charlo, Errol Spence, Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman, Mr. Glass, Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz. They've been vanquished. Tank Davis is the last one. And Canelo, well, Canelo's Canelo. And the Saudis are trying to box them in. But now PBC is looking in a real dire situation. They may not go out of business. They may not. But the way it's looking, how long are they going to last? Who is it? Who is the next guy that they're growing? Who's their star? They can't even keep their fighters active. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe on TstreeT Controversy with FightView360. You can follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy. Here's my Twitter page right here. Links are down below in the description box. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.